Hello and welcome to another week of Time on the Terrain, and I am here on the terrain today in Sydney. I'm actually out at Rhodes, and this is unfortunately an area which has now become a hotspot in Sydney's fight against COVID, and I just thought that this would be a poignant place to spend some time talking about emotion and the kind of emotion that this event, these occurrences tend to bring out, and really continue the theme that I've been discussing all week this week about managing emotion and how particular the emotions that collectively we're wrestling with right now are, and how I'm seeing them being expressed within myself, within our team, within our client group. And that is such a significant feature of the terrain that leaders are navigating right now. So essentially, in almost every conversation that I've had with a leader of a small company, a small team, a large team, a global corporate, in the last few weeks, the topic of emotion has been prominent. And it's been prominent ranging from, there's this sort of curve of elation and doom, this sort of rapid roller coaster ride of emotional volatility, to people expressing concern that they recognize that there's much more friction in their relationships, especially at home, but also in the team. And I think that's just take a few moments to reconcile and appreciate that this is an extraordinary climate that we are living in as a species, as a society, as organizations and teams. This is a unique moment for many of us, and that emotions are going to be very, very strong to the point of overwhelming during this time. And really, the conversations I'm having globally are very consistent around the emotional range. America, it's actually more heightened, but the range is the same because the universal individual experience is comparable. You can deal with something and then something overwhelms you, and then somebody or something comes in as an intervention. Same in the UK. Things are a little bit more optimistic there, but then there's also some practical pessimism around, is a major second wave going to come out of the European summer holidays? And then here in Australia, we've had this bouncing ball of optimism, and then borders closing, and then a state in lockdown, and now an IKEA store and a shopping centre that's become a hotspot that many Sydney-siders have frequented. So just to draw your attention to one thing in particular that I think, if you are experiencing an emotional roller coaster right now, might help you. And that is the advice of Dr. Adam Fraser, who I had a conversation with Better World Leaders that was broadcast today. So you can watch it on YouTube in full length, or there's a couple of highlight reels there, or you can listen to it on pretty much any of your preferred podcast platforms now. And Adam had two specific pieces of advice that I think, if you're in the thick of this, if this is your terrain, this highly turbulent emotional landscape, and that every time a new hotspot is mentioned, that triggers something in you, then I think Dr. Adam's advice could be very, very helpful. So two things that he mentions: a 3 R's model of reflect, rest, and reset. Reflecting on what you've achieved, what you're experiencing, and basically where you're at. Resting, just having some quiet downtime, some sort of moments of introspection, and then resetting to say, this is what I visualize myself going into and moving forward into. I think that's a great practice. That'd be very, very helpful for lots of people. And then the second one is this 4 H's model that Adam's developed based on his latest research, of a way to stay with people through very confronting conversations, like we can't go to the shops today, or the budget this year not looking that great, and this is what that means for us as a team and a unit, just as two very basic examples. So Adam's model is essentially one that follows the body, starts with the heart, goes to the head, comes to the hands, and then a celebratory hurrah. So the heart is all about just being with the person, with their emotions, being in the experience with them. The head is then about asking questions and trying to sort of provide some sort of logic-based response. Hands is setting actions and doing stuff. And then hurrah is celebrating the accomplishment and the outcomes that come from those actions. So if any or all of that sounds like it will be a benefit to you, check out the Better World Leaders conversation with Dr. Adam Fraser, and tune in to Time on the Terrain next week for more of these kind of updates, if they're helpful. If you've enjoyed today's Time on the Terrain and you'd like to check out previous week's observations and insights, you can do so at 4iLeadership.com/insights.